Hello everyone, so today I thought I could bring to you my July wrap up, albeit slightly late. As you may or may not have noticed, there was no June wrap up, and that was because throughout the entire month of June all I read was The Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. The Infernal Devices series is a prequel to the Mortal Instruments series. It is set in Victorian London and is very steampunk in nature, considered to be a kind of steampunk Mortal Instruments. However, in fact though, I enjoyed this series much more than the Mortal Instruments series. I just love the characters a lot more, and I find the storyline a lot more intriguing and captivating. And these series themselves are a YA paranormal series based around these characters, which are known as Nephilim, or angel-like characters, who protect the world and the human race from demons and otherworldly things. I actually finished The Clockwork Princess on the very first day of July. You may be wondering why I'm holding up The Clockwork Prince, and that's because I decided that I didn't know what to read, so I got the first book on my Kindle, which was The Clockwork Angel, which proceeded to get in The Clockwork Prince on my Kindle, and then The Clockwork Princess on my Kindle, and I ended up marathoning the whole thing on my Kindle. Oops. I knew it was going to be a mistake because I knew I was going to want to own them. I found this collector's edition in a charity shop for really cheap, and I'm slowly starting to think that was a mistake because I'm never going to find the other two in this edition, but oops. So then the next book that I read in July was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Unfortunately, I do not physically have this book to show you as I have lent it out to a friend. However, I have made a full video review and discussion for those people who have read the book, and I will leave a link to it down below. But if you're looking for a book to finish off your summer that is light, easy to read, kind of summer contemporary mystery, I cannot highly recommend this book enough. The next book that I then read was Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins. This is the second book in the trilogy of these novels, which is Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, and Isla and the Happily Ever After. These books just make me so happy. They are so cute, they are so fluffy, and I do love them. They make me so happy. In this book, Lola is a very eccentric character who is raised by two gay parents, two fathers, and that is just fantastic. She wants to be a designer and she has a hot rock star boyfriend, and then her world is completely flipped upside down by the return of her neighbour Cricket. I will admit that I did prefer Anna and the French Kiss. However, for those of you who have read Anna and the French Kiss, I can say that Anna and Sinclair did make a cameo in this book, and they were probably some of my favourite scenes, as most people say whenever they read this book and have preferred Anna and the French Kiss. The next book that I then read was Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. This book is a kind of historical creepy fiction, and I can't really describe the plot. It's weird. I would say just dive into this book if you want to read it. I put quite a high expectation up in this book because everybody had said that it was really, really scary, and I don't think I would go that far. Basically, in this book, a young teenage boy called Jacob witnessed something absolutely horrifying related to do with his grandfather. And after that point, everything in his life kind of changes and weird things begin to happen, and so he goes on this journey to understand both his grandfather's big secret better and to understand what's happening to him better, and so he goes in search of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. The one thing about this book is the mixed media format. Throughout the book there are included creepy pictures which somehow relate within the story, and this whole mixed format reading experience I did really enjoy. However, there was something in the story that was kind of missing for me, and I'm not too sure what it was. I can't put my finger up on it. I think maybe I just built it up too much for myself. Having said that, I reckon if you were younger, you would find it a lot more scary. However, if you do want a creepy read and not necessarily horror, I do recommend it because it was an interesting read. So if you're looking for a historical fiction read, slightly creepy read, I do recommend and I will be checking out the second book because I am still interested and I did love the mixed media format. The next book that I then weirdly read was a book that I picked up in a charity shop, and that book was Hitler's Canary by Sandy Toksvig? I don't know how to pronounce that. Oops. This is actually a children's historical fiction novel based around the Second World War and specifically in Denmark. What's interesting about this book is that I did not know much about Germany's occupation within Denmark. What was interesting about this book is the fact that it was to do with Germany's occupation within Denmark during the Second World War, which is something that is not as widely talked about as other elements of the Second World War. And this novel was actually inspired by the author's father's experiences during the Second World War. Was it necessarily the most captivating read in the world? No. But it was interesting to see a different element of the war that I had never read about before. So definitely if you're into your historical fiction and you want a children's read, so it's a nice light read to read, I do recommend it, but not necessarily the best works on war history I've ever read. And the last book that I then completed in July was, and I'm so proud about this, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Me and you have been through some shit. Basically, I was never required to read this in school. However, 14-year-old Tasha thought it would be a great idea to jump into this classical literature piece by Jane Austen that everybody talks about. And I had read and loved Jane Eyre and I thought, I will give this a go too. But me and this book at first did not get on. We did not get on at all. Nope. I've been dipping in and out of this book for slightly over 10 years. Oops. How did that happen? The thing about this book as well is that I maybe restarted it a couple of times, but this time definitely wasn't a restart. I was halfway maybe through it and I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna continue on because this book needs finished. And that's what I did, and I finally finished it, and I can safely say I enjoyed it a lot more now. And maybe it's because I could have an appreciation for it a lot more now as an older adult than what 13-year-old Tasha would have. Maybe. Is it ever going to be my favourite classical novel? No. But I think Jane Austen's either going to be a piece of work that you love or you don't love as much as everybody else. And I think I fall probably more towards the latter category. But having said that, I'm so proud of myself for having finished and read it. And, you know, it's done. So that was all I got completed in the month of July. I did get halfway through Vicious by V. Schwab and since then have finished to complete the novel, but that will be for another video. So I hope you guys had a great reading month in July. Let me know what you read down below if you read anything interesting. Let me know what your favourite read was in July. And if you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you have not already, please subscribe and join our family. You would be most welcome. And until the next video guys, bye-bye!